Acrew Capital has a new general partner. Alisa Rosenthal is joining the venture capital firm from OpenAI, where she was previously head of sales. She was also OpenAI's first commercial hire, growing enterprise revenue from $10 million to $10 billion. I want to bring on Alisa to tell us about this next phase of her journey. Alisa, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Congrats on the new role. We've had Lauren Kolodny on the show previously, so we know Acrew Capital well here at TITV. What are you going to be focused on at Acrew?
Yeah, AI has really matured into a platform, and I'm focused on the AI native companies reshaping enterprise through durable infrastructure, developer tools, and applications built on this massive platform shift. I saw firsthand at OpenAI on the front lines really the gap between model capability and enterprise reality. And I'm excited to invest in the emerging app layer addressing this gap.
Okay, so you're going to focus on apps. I want to talk a little bit about your area of expertise, which is sales. It's what you led at OpenAI in large part. Y- The broad question I have for you is, how do AI sales differ from traditional enterprise software SaaS sales, which I think is a world that you lived in before AI, so you know both these stories. How is it different selling AI?
Yeah, I think I had the opportunity to build the first really AI native sales force. And that meant changing the way we sell. It also means that buyers are changing the way they make purchases. So, some examples of this, when you sell ChatGPT, and I think when you sell any AI product, you're not just selling a tool, you're selling an entirely new way of working. It's a new technology. People are nervous about it, they're fearful, and you're something of an ambassador of AI. And it was really interesting. I had to tell my sales reps, you're not just selling a tool, you are a thought leader in AI. And you have to be bought in, you have to understand it, you have to use it. And that meant it changed the type of salesperson I hired. When I first started at OpenAI, I really looked for people who were excellent at their craft, who had really mastered sales. And by the end of my few years at OpenAI, I was looking for people that had leveraged AI to be excellent at their craft. So I
So
asked.
people who weren't not necessarily as great as the talk, well, they have to be good at the talking, but they also have to be good at using the tools to inform the talking, essentially.
Exactly. They have to be good at both. And the more adept you are at the tooling and the more you use it in your day to day jobs, the more authentic you are at selling it. And the more you can help people who are using it for the first time with real examples and real opportunities to make an impact in how they're working.
So now on the pitch of all this, we've had some folks on the show who are involved in advising enterprises that are buying AI software, companies that are looking to buy Salesforce, ServiceNow, Microsoft, et cetera. And one of the comments that they've made on the show here is that they wish that sales teams would have a little more transparency around, hey, you might not get the ROI as quickly as you think. You might need to experiment with this for 3, 6, 9, 12 months even. It might not be as immediate as old school enterprise software in some ways. As you think about that reality and how teams get ROI out of AI, how do you incorporate that messaging or how did you incorporate it into sales teams? How do you advise companies to be honest with it and then ultimately convince people to still take a chance on you?
Yeah, so two things I'll say there. The first one is that I think trust and authenticity matters more than it ever has before. You hear people saying sales is going away, sales will be completely automated. And I really think that's not the case because exactly what you hit upon, buyers are being inundated with AI products. They don't understand what's real, what's not. And at the end of the day, they're making this decision largely based on who they trust and who they find authentic. So I think that's point one. Point two is I think we're at an interesting moment in the evolution of this app layer where it's mostly general purpose tools that aren't necessarily custom fit for certain types of companies, certain industries, certain workflows. So the solution is to throw forward deployed engineering at it. And that I think is why the integration period is so long right now. You have really a general purpose agent that you are quote unquote training on your workflows, on your data. And it takes a while to get that agent to be able to perform the way you want it to. I think in the future, and what I'm really excited about is I think we'll start to see more sort of specific applications. And by the way, I use the term application very broadly. I think the form factor of applications might change. They might be background agents, they might live in your operating system. But that aside, I think these agents will have more custom context out of the box. They'll be more specific, they'll be tailored to very specific and unique use cases, and they will work more right out of the box without a ton of customization and tailoring and forward deployed engineering.
As you think about all the conversations that you had with customers in your previous role, I'm wondering if there is one conversation that comes to mind that really embodies the challenges of getting enterprises to adopt AI and really what's top of mind for them.
What I'll say was very interesting at OpenAI was we learned a lot from our customers. It's most companies, you have a problem, you set out to solve it, and you build a solution. At OpenAI, we did research, the research yielded new capabilities, and then we would figure out how do we productize them and commercialize them, which is a very different way of going to market. And so what this meant is we had to be very close to our customers and understand, how they were using our products so we could package that up and sell it accordingly. And, one example is we had a tool called Code Interpreter, and it was pretty much using Python. And we thought it was a coding tool. The first customer that started using it very broadly was a private equity fund. And we called them, we said, "What the heck are you guys doing with this tool?" And they actually came to our office and they showed us how they were using Code Interpreter to perform due diligence, run Black-Scholes analysis, do heavy mathematical, quantitative research in ChatGPT. So we actually ended up rebranding Code Interpreter as data analysis and really repackaging it and post-training it in a way that was much better at data. And so that meant we were learning from our buyers and our customers, which I think is a very different mindset for a sales organization and a product organization.
Hmm. Last question for you. We've been talking about ads a lot this week as not just OpenAI, but all these platforms look more towards ads. I know you were mostly involved in the enterprise side of the house. And so maybe slightly different, but still sales is sales at the end of the day. What do you think? There's a clear opportunity in selling ads and building out that market. What do you think is the biggest hurdle that these sales teams might face in selling these advertising products to retailers and e-commerce players?
I think the biggest challenge for OpenAI in this model will be keeping the trust of users. We've talked about trust a lot today. People are naturally skeptical and cynical about this technology. They're nervous about it. So I think for OpenAI to convince advertisers to join the platform, to convince the public to engage with these advertisements, they have to be really careful to do it in a way that is subtle, that doesn't feel like the results are being skewed by advertising, that they're results that are genuine and that the advertisement is related but not changing the results. And that's going to be a hard needle to thread.
But what about selling it to the retailers? I mean, the buyers of the ads. What sort of challenges do you think they'll see there?
I mean, in the same way, they have to convince retailers that the users are going to engage with the ads and feel bought into the new experience and continue to use the application.
Right. Great. Well, Alisa, congrats on the new role. We are very excited for you and look forward to having you on more as you make some noteworthy investments over at Acrew Capital. That is Alisa Rosenthal, the new general partner at Acrew Capital here on TI TV.